What's up? My name is Tori Reed, and today we're going to talk about boundaries. Boundaries are a really difficult concept for me to get a handle on, and I do not think that I'm alone in that. And so I wanted to share some things that I don't hear anybody else talking about, but they're big lessons, big reframes about boundaries that I've learned that really help me start to go ahead and implement my own. And I'm not one to waste time, so we can go ahead and dive right into it. The first lesson I learned is that boundaries aren't created, they're inherent within us already. I think when we get started in this journey of boundaries, we're looking to other people for examples, and there's nothing wrong with that step in the journey. I think it's kind of required for us to see what's up. But the deeper I grew into my boundaries practice, the more I realized that my boundaries were already within me. And I think we all have this. We can notice where our boundaries are because they're going to come up regardless. It's going to be the things that we feel tension about, it's going to be the things that we avoid. Or when we make a request for someone to treat us a specific kind of way and they don't actually adhere to that request, then we're going to feel as though a boundary has been violated. And that's because, in a way, even if we're not realizing that that's a boundary right then, it's because it is. We decide our boundaries. Society doesn't decide our boundaries for us. And so, step number one of understanding what your boundaries are is to check in with yourself to figure out what your body is telling you about what kind of treatment you're okay with, what kind of environments you feel safe in, and things of that nature. Number two is that I always thought that boundaries were a way of pushing people away, of keeping people that were close to us at arm's length, so to speak, to protect ourselves. And while I do agree that boundaries can be really awesome for that kind of protection, boundaries are really meant to bring people closer to us. As soon as I started thinking of boundaries as something that were inherent within me, this kind of clicked because I realized that if boundaries are inherent within me and I'm just expressing this, boundary that's inherent within me already, then this is an act of vulnerability for the people that I'm closest with. This is a genuine expression of myself. Going by other people's boundaries is kind of a way to people please, kind of a way to adhere by whatever social norms are telling us our boundaries should be. But when we check in with ourselves and we figure out what our boundaries really are, and then we start to express those boundaries to the people closest to us and they stay, we're going to naturally feel more seen, heard, understood, and valued as a result of that. We're naturally going to feel as though we're developing closer, more intimate relationships with the people around us. It's also going to be a great way to weed some people out that aren't really meant for you. Because if someone can't respect your boundaries, if someone cannot honor your boundaries, and these boundaries really are authentic and true to who you are and how you need to be treated in the spaces that you need to be in, then that person is just telling you that they're not for you. And while that can be a terribly scary thing, the really cool thing about boundaries is that once you figure out what your boundaries really are and you start to stand by them and express them and honor them, you have an easier time finding the people that really are meant to be in your life and closer to you as a result of that thing. Hopefully, I'm explaining that well. Moving on to number three, I had to figure out that boundaries are not requests. Those are not the same thing. A request is when we're asking someone else to do something to control their behavior and their narrative according to our liking, our preferences, our benefit. 9 times out of 10, people are entitled to say no to your request. Boundaries are decisions about what we will and won't participate in, what we will and will not accept, and how we're going to go about that. So a request might be, will you please stop singling me out at family dinners? I don't appreciate that. And that's a totally valid request. But a boundary is going to be, I'm no longer participating in family dinners until y'all can figure out how to stop treating me this way. That's a boundary. That's letting somebody know what you will and won't accept. That's a decision for you about how you're going to navigate your own personhood instead of requesting that someone else navigates their personhood in your favor. At that point, the other person can decide if they want to respect that boundary or not respect that boundary. Either answer gives you information about where you need to put your time. And lastly, I had to stop being so quick to say that other people were violating my boundaries. I had to take more responsibility on my own, and this is a tricky one. And it's tricky because it's true that some people can forcibly violate your boundaries. That is a very real thing. But I had to realize for myself that 9 times out of 10, nobody else was violating my boundaries so much as they were following my lead on how seriously to take them. I had to realize that it was on me to honor my boundaries. People can push back against my boundaries all they want to, but it's up to me in the vast majority of those moments to say, no, I'm going to go ahead and honor my boundary because, like I said, it's a decision on how I'm going to navigate my own personhood. The more I started to respect my own boundaries and not fold whenever people started to push back, the more other people started to see how seriously I took them. And then the more they started to respect them just like I was. I realized that I needed to lead by example when it came to my own boundaries. This was a tough pill to swallow at first, but It was really me taking my own power back. It was really me deciding for myself that I'm going to take care of myself this way. And ultimately, even though it was really difficult in the beginning, it ended up being very empowering in the end. To this day, I maintain all of these tenets to be true. And I've grown a ton in my boundaries practice. And so just passing these tips along, I find that there are so many different reframes and mindsets and ways to think about boundaries that a lot of people aren't talking about in the popular narrative. And so these are my favorite four. If you have any extra ones to add, go ahead and comment below. I want to see them. I love to hear them. And good luck on your boundaries journey. Ask me any questions or anything of that nature. Look around for links and all of that good stuff. I'll see you soon. Thank you for checking in.